want her to not fit in and feel like she's kind of an alien in a way.
And I want to start with asking you, this is a film that touches on the subject of adaptation, adapting to an environment that may be difficult for you or unknown for you, and how to overcome the obstacles. So I wanted to ask you, in the process of making the film, what was your process of adaptation to the unknown?
Taking it from the page and translating it to the screen, there's a lot of different things that we have to do. A movie's only so long. We only have about an hour and a half to tell the story. So it's a very disciplined thing. When you read a book, you can read it at your own pace. You can read it all at once, or you can space it out. But we only have an hour and a half to tell the story. So we've got to be really careful what we pick and choose to elaborate on. So in some cases, I trimmed things out. There's a bear in the film. There's only one bear, but in the story, in the book, there's three. So that's a good example of something I consolidated. But then there's other places. There's a scene later on where I call it the robot graveyard. That is a scene that's not in the book. And I added that because there was some complication I wanted to add to the plot at a certain point, just because I felt like it was almost a little bit too easy to see where the story was going. So it's a little bit of both.
This is a film that takes too many elements that may be like not coherent, may not sound coherent in paper when you put them together, because it's the wilderness, a robot, the animals, many environments that shouldn't be together, but they work when you see them on the screen. So why did you choose this story to make, like a story that resonated with all audiences, despite, having all these elements that maybe don't match in our heads, but in the screen they fit perfectly.
Part of that stuff that doesn't fit together, sometimes in those contrasts we get conflict, and those conflicts are energy sources when we tell a story like this. And sometimes, I look for those places and try to actually sometimes enhance the conflict, because that powers the whole story. But then one of the things that binds the whole thing together, and you can see it behind me right now, is the styling of the film. So even though all these elements really, they are purposely brought together and they don't really normally fit together, again, something that Peter wrote into his book, when the style is consistent, it gives us an overall harmonious vibe and allows us to do that. Now that said, we deliberately left a character in I'm not going to say the wrong style, but in a different style. When Roz, at the very beginning of the movie, when Roz first wakes up and she activates, she doesn't have a painted surface like everything else in the film. So we leave her in a CG style because we want her to not fit in and feel like she's kind of an alien in a way in this land. As the story progresses, we modify her surface, and her wear and tear, we replace her surface with a painted surface, just like all the other characters. And then she literally visually begins to fuse together with the other island's residents, and she becomes eventually another character that belongs on the island.